Before I start anything else, I welcome you into this world of high entropy, as we call it, where things tend to be a little uncertain. It looks as if it's not very clear, not black and white, and I wish I knew more and I wish I knew everything, and therefore my mind is kind of clear about what I'm doing. Well, probably many of you will get there at some point of time. Seemantonayanam. Okay, it looks like a tongue twister in its own right. Seemantonayanam. I don't know how many of you can say it clearly. नहीं ना, सुना ही नहीं होगा. इतना लंबा नाम कौन देगा? कोई चीज के लिए इतना लंबा दे देंगे तो वो छोटा काट के सीमा बना देते हैं या याना बना देते हैं. कुछ ना कुछ तो कर देते हैं. It could have been one of those things. Why make it such a long name? Starting from there, but then as a practice, it's a lot closer to every one of us. Why is it closer? Because every corner of India, and I can assure you probably every religion, every culture, not just in India, and you can extend it to everywhere in the world, will have something similar. इसको हम लोग हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं या नॉर्थ में क्या बोलते हैं? गोद भराई, right? So गोद भराई का जो त्योहार, समारंभ, अवकाश, whatever you want to call it, that happens here in India. And I'm sure it's there. I've seen it happening in Maharashtra. I've seen it happening in Gujarat. In Karnataka, it's something called Bale Torsodu, wearing of bangles, giving the pregnant woman bangles. And then Valai Kaap. So that's the one which is there in Tamil Nadu and I think some parts of Andhra, Telangana. Okay, so you have these nomenclatures which are there across India. And of course, universally, we are all very westernized now, so we know baby showers are also there. So how can baby showers be far away? So baby showers, Seemantam, Seemantonayanam, and Godbharai. These are the popular terms across India. And we need to have a look at that. Wonderful. Now at the outside, let me tell you that this forms a part of an ancient set of practices to which most of the modern sciences are coming to. Now, this is one of the foundational things with Omnia Future Academy. You'll find that whatever we do will have a combination of both the components of ancient wisdom and a very liberal dose of modern sciences as well. Okay, you'll get combinations of that in many of the programs, activities, as also other engagements you have with Omnia Future, and that's our cadence. We blend ancient wisdom with modern sciences. And this happens to be, Seemantonayanam, happens to be a samskara. A samskara, what is a samskara? We'll come to that in a moment. Any of you who want to know of this ancient practice as a sanskara, meaning the generality of what sanskaras are, and in fact, to be more expansive about it, any one of you who would like to know more about the largeness of who you are, who's this baby who's coming into your life? What are the origins of the baby? Where is it before? Who am I? And what is my relationship with this entity? And what's the way forward? Many of these things might be, probably questions which you might have asked sometime in your life, but you might never have had an occasion to address it because we're all very busy, right? We've got our things to do, we've got our jobs to do, we've got our chores to do, we have families to run, businesses to run. So this is not possible in the ordinary course of life. But where you are positioned right now, the duration of pregnancy is a very special period. Very, very special period. Okay? The more you begin to understand why this is a special period, the more you'll be in awe. मतलब एक चमत्कार जैसे लगेगा आपको जो कुछ भी हो रहा है आपके साथ में आपके अंदर, be it a woman or a man. Okay, the men are no exceptions in this period. It's something very profound and it's in the realm of beyond what you and I might even understand or comprehend. So it's in a much bigger space. So understanding it from that perspective will definitely give you the clarity, the perspective, and the purposefulness of what you're doing in a much bigger way. So these sessions, some of them might facilitate it to some extent. So let's come to this point of Simanto Nayanam as a samskara. Now, how many of you know of Godvarai or Simanto Nayanam? Let me ask the technical question. The Simanto Nayanam, how many of you are aware of it? Well, as an event, it's one of the most fascinating ones and a very, very important and an appropriate one. Every sanskara has its own right, has a context, a place, a situation, and all of that. But most of the sanskaras today, I think, are kind of forgotten, or maybe we don't even know about it. Why say that we've forgotten? We never knew about it, so how can I forget something which I don't know, right? So you might be in that reality that some of these things are happening, we don't know why they happen, and trying to probe into it, it looks more like a social event. And as Saranyaji described it, it's got a lot to do with the sensorial appeal, a lot to do with feeling good, emotional, a nice food, nice taste, nice smell, and all of that, and making it a good event. I just want to mention a couple of things about sanskaras. The very term samskara implies something which is refined. Now, why refined? We all have a natural state of existence, right? We also have a component of us which is very similar to dogs and cats and others, which is basically we are living beings. So as a living being and a specialized living being in the form of human being is a more specialized thing, but at a general level, I'm a living being. So all living beings live and somehow do many things from birth through death. What human beings do is more refined. You just don't live, which seems to be driven by something else. It's the way animals live. I don't know how many of you were there for the session yesterday. Ahara, Nidra, Bhayamaithunascha. Those are the standard things which every living being does. Hunger, food, going after that, and fear, and procreation. All of these are very, very common things, or rather an essential thing in the course of living being's life. Anything which is alive will go through these processes. Ahara, Nidra, Bhaya Maithunascha. Okay, fear, hunger, each one of these. But what sets a human being apart seems to be this process of refining or adding something beautiful. In fact, the very term "sam," wherever it comes in the context of the Indian wordings, especially in Sanskrit, when you say "sam," it means something which is beautiful, something which is nice, something which is appealing. So samskara will also mean kara, karya, karan, karna. All of them are evolutes of that term, but with the appendage sam. So this is some refinement which is coming into it. It's a refinement of what? Those details are for another day, but accept this fact that this is something of relevance in a refined manner. In fact, our scriptures speak of it very, very eloquently. They give this differentiation. How? Janmana jayate shudraha sanskarat dvija uchyate. What does that mean? We are all born like commoners, like base elements, like this minimum entropy thing, jo common hai sabke liye, that is what we are born as. But to become somebody who can qualify to be a human being, samskarat dvija uchyate. So you need to understand that to become an evolute, a higher evolute, a human being, or even possibly a being higher than human beings itself, you need to move into a slightly higher perspective. And what is that perspective? And beyond that also there are avenues. Veda patat bhavet vipraha. So you can, the next level of refinement or next level of progress will be by taking to the Veda patas or the refined scriptures of India. and Brahmam janati iti brahmana. The final stage will be when you go in search of the ultimate truth. So there are various ways or planes of existence. हम कहाँ पे रहते हैं, क्या करते हैं? That itself is categorized into these 4 buckets. So the first level of moving from the commonplace existence, which is like animals, which is like every other living being, to a human level, is when you take to samskaras. And you become, Dvija is a twice born, will not debate upon that or deliberate upon that at this point of time. But there is a refinement which comes into our activities. So this sanskara, Simantonayanam, is one of the sanskaras. And how many sanskaras are there? There are supposed to be 16. And probably we might know of 2 or 3 of them, but most of the other 13 may not even qualify in our knowledge base. We might not even know about it, right? So Simantonayanam seems to be the third of the sanskaras any human being has to go through. Now, what are sanskaras? These are points of, you take a journey, and in the course of a journey, you'll come to some points, right? Like if you're going from Bangalore to Delhi, especially if you're driving down, you'll probably get Hyderabad in between, Bhopal, then you'll probably get some other city, Agra, and then you reach Delhi. Okay, that might be the way you proceed. So these are points which come along in life journey. And these are fairly important points, because obviously why they're called sanskaras and why they're given that kind of an importance must be for a reason. Let's look at some of those reasons. Second question. When is this Simantonayanam, Godbharai, Valai Kapp, when is that done? There are variants, you'll find them across the country again. So starting from 4th month, in fact, the 4th month is considered as an extension of the 3rd month, because one sanskara happens in the 3rd month, so following that you do it in the 4th month is one prescription. 6th month, 8th month, 9th month, so it looks like all the months are there. So there are only 9 months of pregnancy, so आप चुन के 3 के बाद कभी भी कर सकते हैं. It looks like it, okay? So while all these things are there, 7th month, there seems to be a special significance around that. We'll probably come to that at some point of time. But what indeed is this? When we begin to understand the refinement of this, किस मायने में ये refined है? What qualifies to call this as a refined experience or a refined thing which is happening in the course of human life? क्या चीज है? What makes it refined? In fact, if you look at the very term, I'm going back to the roots, which is Simantonayanam. Okay? The very term Simantonayanam is made up of 2 broad components. Simanta, Unnayana. Okay? Simanta plus Unnayana makes it Simantonayana. But its commonplace becomes Simantonayanam, Simantam, etc., etc. Those are short forms. But the full, import of it is found in the combination of these 2 words, which is Simantam plus Unnayana. Simanta plus Unnayana. So that makes it Simantonayana. Now, if you look at the meanings of these, fairly simple again. Simanta. Simanta is referred to as the hair. Okay. One of the meanings. The beauty of Sanskrit as a language, one word could have 30, 40, 50 meanings. Okay. It could have easily 5 or 6 meanings. But if you look up the dictionary, you'll probably find 25, 30, 40 meanings for a given word. आप कौन सा चुनेंगे, किस context में चुनेंगे, and sometimes all the 40 will become relevant. So Simanta could mean many things. It could mean border, it could be end, it could mean closure, it could be hair. But the popular connotation of what Simantam is seems to be, one of the things is that it has the reference to the top part or the highest faculty of human being's body or frame, which is the head, and the top of the head would be the skull, and above the skull would be your hair. And Unnayana is upar uthana, taking it up, uplifting, evolution, whatever term you want. So lifting the hair up. And therefore you have this practice of Simantonayana, which has many things which are involving, apart from the cultural aspects, even in the traditional aspects and the more religiously oriented aspect, we might have to look at some of these things slightly differently. Okay. Now let's quickly have a look at, just before this session, I thought, let me see what does Google tell us about Seemantonayanam, and I got some pictures, so I want to share those with you. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this or have seen sites like this. This is one of those puppets or doll shows which are there of a Seemantonayanam function. Probably you must have seen this. Okay, it looks like a pregnant woman and a lot of women around, right? So this is one typical scenario which you can envisage in this ceremony. And this is something more where you can see a slight amount of refinement. And as you can see on the left-hand side, again, it seems to be dominated by a lot of ladies. And this is again the pregnant woman who's there. And it's probably an elderly lady, somebody who's doing something to the woman who's seated on a chair. And in the next one, it seems where somebody elderly and the woman seated on the floor, both of them obviously are the pregnant women, and something is being done to the pregnant woman. ऐसा कभी देखा आपने? This also I got from the internet only. Google से ही मिला मुझे. ऐसा कुछ देखा था आपने किसी ने? Okay, so let me get to one more level. Have any of you seen this? ऐसे कभी देखा है गोद भराई को? Seemantonayanam. This is where we are. So now we know that there are many things which are being called about as Seemantonayanam, but our knowledge about what this is probably the first or the second, right? But there's only one other way of understanding and appreciating this, and I'm sure all of you will agree to this. Anytime there's a God Bharai or this function, you know this? ये तो सब लोग जानते होंगे, right? I can see all the smiles, all the faces. Khana, pina, right? All of that, and that's a very, very important component. Okay, it's not something to be made fun of, but the reality is, बिना खाने पीने का कोई संस्कार नहीं होता है, right? And that's our culture. We enjoy fully also. पूरा खाना पीना, मौज मस्ती, गाना, सब कुछ होना चाहिए. Everything should be there. That is when it qualifies to become a good, nice message for us, right? So all of these are components of what is our reality in terms of God Bharai. Okay, so you saw the multiple frames, multiple pictures which are there, and some of them familiar to us, some of them completely unknown to us, and all of them are being called into occasion at this point of time. तो मतलब क्या बनता है इन चीजों का? Let's look at it from a slightly deeper perspective to appreciate it. Where we are positioned. Where are we now? We are in a womb program and probably in the course of pregnancy, and we need to get a refinement to the extent possible. So Seemanta Unnayana, and one of the pictures you saw had some references to the couple, the lady sitting in the red sari, and then the husband was doing something, or probably the male who was there, and let me clarify, it was the husband, and doing something. So it had the top portion of the lady where something was being applied out there. What's this? What does this mean? Let me clarify that this part of the body, which is the top part, which includes the skull, which houses amongst the most important part of who I am, my faculties. What is it? My brain, right? The master coordinator, the master controller, the one which gives me all the abilities to function, to do a lot of things, everything virtually in the course of my life is brain driven. And that is housed here on top. And more than anything else, there seems to be some other slightly deeper perspective why this function involves something to do with that part of the body and what is being done out there. The very term Seemanta Unnayana is lifting the hair up in certain cultures. And this is the broad definition of the very term Seemanta Unnayana or Seemantonayana. What is being done has something to do with the top part of the body involving hair, and something is being done out there. But why that part of the body here in this context? We need to put that in a frame. First, even if the brain is the master controller, let's appreciate our own construct. You have two broad sides to the brain, right? What are the two sides of the brain, two parts of the brain? There are many ways of differentiating the brain: front, middle, back, left, right, blah, 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 lots of differentiations. But we'll take one primal differentiation, which is that there's a left-hand part of the brain and there's a right-hand part of the brain, meaning left side, right side, right? And there seems to be something in the middle which is connecting the two. It's a thin filament kind of a thing which connects the two as well. Whatever is happening in the body is being controlled by this mechanism of the left and the right. The right part of my brain, which is supposedly, what is it? What is the right part of my brain? It's more to do with emotions, feelings, creativity, all of that. So that is on the right side, and the left part of my brain seems to be dealing with logic, analysis, right? Sequential movement. All of that seems to be a part of me. So as a human being, I need to have both. I'm a combination of both reason, logic, as well as emotions. And therefore, to use my full human potential, both of them should be in harmony and in balance. So this Seemantonayanam gets into that context where you are trying to do something in this part, which is trying to bring about a harmony and a balance for both the right part of me and the left part of me to function in a harmonious, coordinated, smooth fashion. And this is being orchestrated, being done using certain props. We'll come to that later. Using certain props, using certain mechanisms, using certain devices, certain things which are known to us. Some of those things might not be known to us. For instance, you can know what type of oil, which brand, what kind of decoration, etc., etc. But then you might get to a higher level where certain types of sounds, certain types of smells, certain types of tastes are getting brought into the process, which have a higher connotation as well. So at the end of it, what is happening? It is bringing about a bigger rhythm, a more harmonious rhythm. And it's a fantastic way of calling upon ourselves, to use all the potential that we have to create harmony for us. And this is what human beings can do. No animal can do that. Nobody else in the whole universe can do that. Only human beings can do that. So you are deliberately invoking something to create better harmony, better balance, and better possibilities for your own self. So this is at the primal level. Then the question comes, for whom is it being done? Is it the pregnant mother? Or is it the baby in the womb? The harmony and the balance, you presume that, because the other things which we know of are, whatever even Saranya described earlier, giving flowers and taking up the lady, etc., etc. All of that seems to be very mother-oriented. Glass bangles, typical tastes and smells which are being put into place. All of this seems to be of a very high order of inducing certain things into the mother. So is it mother-focused? Does it have anything to do with the baby at all? Good question to ask. Goodness, blessings, for whom? Mother, child, or both? Now this is where, again, I will invite your attention to a reference which I can give you from the scriptures. And this is something which is pretty well known for in these circles. If you go to any Pandit, if you go to any elder in your family, they might be able to give you the reference of this. And it's very, very easily available. Let me tell you what that is. It's giving you the essence of what this sanskara is in the way culture knows it. And again, refined culture for us, we'll have to go back slightly earlier times. And the saying goes like this. Yenadite simanam nayati prajapatim arhate sobhagaya tenahamasya simanam nayami prajamasya jaradishta krunomi. Okay, let me put this up on the screen so that you can also appreciate this better. Yeah, there you go. Just have a look at this. What does it say? Yenadite simanam nayati prajapatir mahate saubhagaya tenahamasya simanam nayami prajamasya jaradishta krunomi. And if you look at the wordings, I've just tried to split that for you as you read this. Yena adite simanam nayati prajapatihi mahate saubhagaya tena aham asya simanam nayami prajam asya jaradishti krunomi. And you know what the illusion there is? This is what most pundits will also tell you. It's fairly simple. This act of doing something to the top of the head and doing something as the upliftment of the hair has something to do with what Prajapati could also be referred to as Brahma, did in a particular context. What he did to Aditi. Who's Diti? Aditi? Aditi is the mother of the Devas and the wife of Kashyap, sage Kashyapa, and Prajapati is the husband of Aditi. And Prajapati, what he did to Aditi, the Simanam Nayati, which is the way he took Aditi beyond the normal into a highly refined state. Who did that? Prajapati, Mahate, the big Prajapati. Saubhagaya, gracefully, with a lot of blessings. Tena aham, the same way, asya simanam, whatever is the boundary in which things are existing at this point of time, nayami, I shall take. Prajamasya, praja is typically a reference to the child. Jaradashti Krunomi. Okay, Jaradashti, longevity, long life, blessings, I'm going to invoke. Now, obviously, somebody is saying this. Who's saying this? This is the husband of the lady who is doing this process of applying something to the top of the hair, which is typically an oil. And as he applies this oil, this chant is being invoked to say that Jo bhi Prajapati Brahma, whatever Prajapati did for Mother Aditi, so that there can be an invocation of grace and blessings and upliftment of a type or a progress, evolution of a type happens, I shall do the very same. For whom? For this baby who's there and ensuring the longevity and overcoming obstacles and difficulties. Now, all of this, now the objectivity will obviously tell you that difficulties of labor, problems which can come about towards the later stages of pregnancy, any one of these could be the problems which you're going to overcome. So overcoming to ensure longevity, both of the mother and the baby, and doing it as a sacred act seems to be a part of what religion has given to us and what our cultural understanding has given to us. And this is a very, very important understanding. So this is probably what you will get from your elders in the family also, and what you will get from pundits, culturally well-known people who have practiced culture, religion. All of them will give you this amount of understanding. And this perspective of what Simantam is a very important perspective in its own right. Let's ask this question and all these components in a slightly deeper perspective. ये क्यों कर रहे हैं हम लोग? And why are we doing it, and when should we do it, and for what ends do we do it? The perspective is like this. Let's appreciate the course of pregnancy. Whether you go for it medically or whether you go for it scripturally, more or less it's the same. You'll be probably shocked, but you'll appreciate it when you know the full details of what our scriptures contain. But medically, the way the baby grows month on month and what our scriptures, ancient wisdom tells you is fairly well connected, very integrated. So what's happened? The refinement which we are speaking about is typically in the 7th month of pregnancy. 7th month of pregnancy, something wonderful happens. Till that time, the fetus is developing. First, it was an embryo, then it's becoming a fetus, and the fetus is developing month on month, week on week, day on day. There's huge amount of progress. While that progress is happening, the concept of who we are, that body does not have an owner. This might look strange to you. It's something which is developing in the mother's womb. The uterus is carrying a life and it's growing fully. But in the human sense of the term, the way you and I understand, ye mera sharir hai, ye mera haath hai. That way, there is no owner for that body till the 6th month. In the 7th month, there is an awareness with the baby to associate itself with that body. So in fact, the 7th month of pregnancy is called Chetanata. That Chetana, that awareness comes to say that this is my body. So me being who I am and this being my body, that connection happens in the 7th month. So there is a very specific context of the 7th month being given this, because till that time, it's an unidentified body. After that, it's an identified, owned up completely to say that I'm going to be the driver or I'm going to be the user, owner for this particular vehicle. So that is happening in the 7th month. And why the 7th month becomes important is for another context, because after that, जिसको भी जानकारी है इसके बारे में, 8वें महीने में, 9वें महीने में, especially in the 8th month is called Bhavana, and then after that you got 9th and 10th month, which are Udvega and Prasava. Udvega and Prasava is the period when you have the preparations for coming onto earth, the delivery process, arrival process, all of that has to happen. A lot of activity is going to happen at around the 9th and 10th month, which is basically to come to the, from your side to move into the hospital, get arrangements done, coordination with the doctor, nurses, hospital, nursing home, etc., etc. And from the baby's side, a lot of movement taking place, and the fixation of the head, etc., towards the last part, and then the arrival of the baby, right? The 7th month is a crucial turning point, the 3rd trimester, so to say, and that is the period when a lot of changes, not just in physical terms, but even emotional, psychological, mental states of that baby is going to happen. That baby is beginning to look at things from a completely different perspective from that month onwards. So that progression which is happening before the 7th month, पहले से छठे महीने जो होता है, 1st to 6th month, whatever has happened, is in a very different wicket compared to what is going to happen from the 7th month onwards, insofar as that soul, that body, and that identification of that human life is concerned. So that upliftment process is to move, or that progression, Unnayana, is from that domain to this domain. So whatever progress, whatever guidance, whatever upliftment, whatever evolution, whatever we want to cause can be for the fetus, the baby, the soul, and potentially even the mother as well, right? Potentially even the mother as well, because you are going to crave for blessings for both of them. So what is being done there in the context of culture and religion is that you're asking for welfare, nice things, progression of the mother and the baby, both the mother, baby, longevity, well-being, goodness, wellness, blessings, grace, all of that for both of them. But when you come down to the samskara, the context changes a little. The sanskara is only for the baby. The event might be with the mother, but the context of that sanskara is with the mother. But the effects of that energetic transaction, या जो भी कर रहे हैं उसका फल, is for the baby. Now, this differentiation is important. So here it becomes a little more engaging and a little deeper for us to get the true perspective of what this is. Who's the soul who's coming into your womb? Who's the soul? आप सब माताएं हैं, आपके अंदर जो है गर्भ में जो आपका शिशु पल रहा है कौन? Who's that? What is that construct? Coming where we are from our backgrounds as Hindus, as Sanatanis, as people who come from a higher awareness of things, it's not just a body which is coming into your life. Not just another human personality with a body which is coming into your life. It's a bundle of energy. What is this bundle of energy? Where is it coming from? There are many, many aspects to this energy. Like you might have heard of this, probably believe in this, which is karma and rebirth and cycles of life and death and all of that. Well, that's a reality for us, because one of the essential things of Sanatana is the continuity of energetic cycles. Kabhi koi cheez rukta nahi hai. There's no end to anything. It's a continuous progression from one to the next. If you want to know the details of who this entity is from that perspective, please join that program. But that's a slightly longish program of about 3 weeks, and you're most welcome to join that. So what we are talking of is the kind of baggage with which this child is coming into my life. You can call it baggage of past, memory, karma, action, reaction, sequences, a lot of those things. You are addressing it at that level, and which are typically called the past designs. जो मेरा नक्शा बना हुआ था पहले का, it is based on certain things. So those reactions and the directions which have come about because of my past structures, which are in technical terms called prarabdha, agama, a lot of these terminologies are used, but basically it's a roadmap which has been made on the basis of certain energetic combinations which are there. And some of them might be good, some of them may not be so good for human perception. जो हम और आप जो अच्छा बुरा समझते हैं ना, may not be within that frame for us. So what are we going to do here? If this is indeed a limitation for the progression of the baby, for the evolution of the child, that soul, that human being who's going to come into our lives, whatever limitations, whatever traps, उसको traps इसलिए बोल रहा हूं क्योंकि उसका term है वासना, जो उसको पकड़ के रखता है. Whatever binding forces are there to limit development and growth, let us try to go beyond that boundary. So the Simanta, end of that thing, wherever you are coming to that boundary, this is the boundary, not that normal one, but an evolved one where you are moving into a completely different realm of energy of who that being is. So where are you moving from? Now suddenly the gears have shifted. From the role of a body, you're moving into emotions, spirit. From genetics, you're now moving into epigenetics. You're now getting into seeing the larger aspects of human life. What is creation? How does it happen? How does it operate? In fact, even in English, you have this saying, right? Child is the father of man. How are these cycles continuing? Child is the father of man. We thought man is the father of the child. But this combination that the child is recognized as a highly evolved entity is there in every culture. हम भी बोलते हैं ना, बच्चा जब आता है तो भगवान ही होता है. So we all know this intuitively. Somehow we know this. So recognizing that part, that energetic construct of the baby, we now address that component of the baby and give the opportunity for that baby to truly evolve, grow, removing limitations so that the upliftment, empowerment, progression can happen seamlessly. So what you saw in that previous verse, saying that, I shall uplift the hair of my wife the way Prajapati did it for his wife Aditi, the same way I shall do for my wife, is one understanding of it. The deeper understanding is the auspiciousness which Prajapati caused for Aditi, the grace and blessings which were invoked to overcome the borders, move beyond the Sima, go into a movement and a progression beyond that. That is where the hidden terms come. The evolution was caused for whom? Aditi. Now remember, all of you will probably know the story also. There were two of them, at least as two sisters, Diti and Aditi. Why was it done for Aditi and why was it not done for Diti? Why doesn't Diti's name come? Why is Aditi's name being invoked? As we all know, probably anecdotally you might know, many stories you might have. Diti is the mother of Daityas. Who are Daityas? Daityas are asuras, demons. ये जो आप राक्षस वगैरह देखते हैं ना, चाहे वो टीवी सीरियल में हो या अमर चित्रकथा में हो या कॉमिक्स में हो या जो आपकी नानी माँ या आपकी माँ ने दादा ने किसी ने भी कहानी सुनाएगा वो राक्षस होते थे. So that is the energy construct there. Demonic, who have got a very asymmetrical construct. Just remember this term. हार्मनी जहां पे नहीं होती है वहां पे एसिमेट्री होती है, जहां पे सिमेट्री होती है हार्मनी अपने आप आ जाती है. हार्मनी, बैलेंस, ऑल ऑफ देम go with symmetry. This structure of energies of asuras and daityas refers to something which is not in balance, where there is no harmony. So the reference is to Aditi, who is the mother of suras, where harmony and balance is coming. So from the situation in which the baby may be placed, and always we are a combination of both. ये नहीं कि ये अच्छा है ये बुरा है, हम सभी का मिश्रण है. We are always a combination of both. Within that, to whatever extent I can help as a parent to move or remove the blockages of some, so that it becomes from asymmetrical more symmetrical. That is the true purpose of Seemantonayana. From asymmetry, imbalance, disharmony of the causative patterns of life, which are going to make the entirety of the human being, body, mind, emotions, tendencies, behavior, health, wealth, memory, equity, name it, all of it, the causative factors are those. उसमें जहां जहां कमियां है, limitations है, how to overcome that and move into the next realm. That is the true import of this ceremony. Now, this is the higher wisdom which comes about to us from the perspective of ancient knowledge. ये कब संभव है? Now, this is possible typically from the 7th month onwards only, because the baby takes the ownership for the body. Till that time, there is no owner for the body. So, ownership for the body comes in the 7th month. The consequence of that is very, very, very significant. Once I take the ownership, I get into a very depressive state. जब पता चलता है ना कि मैं आगे जाऊंगा, जन्म लूंगा, जनन है, मरण है, problems are there, difficulties are this and that and all of that, some amount of depression comes to you. This is a very healthy one. This is not a bad one, okay? This some depression comes into that baby, into that fetus, who sees that मैं तो खुला हुआ इंसान था. I was free. I was completely liberated. I didn't have any of these trappings. मेरा कोई सीमा ही नहीं था. अब मैं सीमा के साथ इस शरीर के साथ बंधन में फंस जाऊंगा क्या? ये क्वेश्चन आता है मन में. और the baby recognizes this question, and therefore 8th month becomes a slightly intricate month of pregnancy. अब you please talk to your gynecs, or you talk to people who are in the know. I've addressed many doctors and gynecologists in different bodies, either as during conferences or in private talks and meetings. Everyone confirms 8th month seems to be a very difficult period, because across the 8th month, 9th month seems to be much better. The number of missed or abortions or complications which happen, or preterm babies which come about more in the 8th month, the 9th month seems to be more well balanced in that sense, with less events or less possibilities of things going awry. So you recognize that the baby is going to get into the 8th month, and a dilemma, these questions, jaun and na jaun, all of these have to get addressed by that baby. So it requires empowerment at that time. So you do it in the 7th month, with all the fanfare, with all the beautiful things, to welcome the baby, to give it this idea that we want you, we love you, we need you. Both the father and the mother give that kind of a messaging to the baby. So the karmic imprints which are there and the journey beyond, it is beautifully brought together to give a fresh dose of energy, and you are modifying the genetic blueprints which were made. So it's a point of genetic inflection. यहाँ पे बहुत कुछ बदल सकता है. With the advent of epigenetics, there's a much better appreciation of that. So the left and right brain connections and the neural patternings which was happening, all of them can be made very differently. And this process has started virtually in the third, fourth week of your pregnancy. वहां से आपके न्यूरल स्ट्रक्चर्स बनने शुरू हो जाते हैं. So causing that refinement becomes a possibility. So that continuous flow of energy. कितने लोगों की? You, your spouse, ancestors, elders of the family, पितृ जिनको बोलते हैं, जीवित भी हो सकते हैं. Could be grandmother, grandparents, uncles, aunts. So society, culture, aunts, uncles, close relatives, close friends. यहीं पे रहना है. This is the neighborhood. So inviting people from neighbors, close relatives, to samaj, parivar, everybody comes in and showers a welcome to the baby. And that is why it's a joyful event. तो खाने पीने का सिलसिला उसी के साथ है. So the food to be appealing to the lady, food to be appealing to the baby, food to be made appealing to whom, so that it finally reaches whom. That is the appreciation. जो हमारी संस्कृति है ना, बहुत रिफाइंड है, बहुत ज्यादा ही रिफाइंड है एक्चुअली, क्योंकि ये this is part of our culture and so beautifully woven into the structure of our life. Because हमको समझ में नहीं आता, बट उस दिन जो जो चीजें आपके कल्चर में, आपके संप्रदाय में, आपके संस्कृति में जो जो होती है ना, जो कपड़े आप पहनते हैं, जो जो चीजें, जैसे आपको बताया था कि ग्लास बैंगल्स पहनते हैं. ऑन दैट डे अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग इज गिवन टू ग्लास. ग्लास, इफ यू गो टू द रूट्स ऑफ इट, it is made from sand. Why sand? I'll come to that. We'll come to all of those finer refinements of this. So we understand life, structure, pregnancy, progeny, nature, childbirth, all of that in a very seamless fashion. जो हमारी orientation है ना, the way we are kind of programmed as Bharatias, as Sanatanis, to move from the limitedness to move into the limitlessness. So to cause that power, empowerment in the baby, to recognize how to move to a level where you don't have limitations and move into higher possibilities, this entire structuring of Sivantonayanam comes into place. And that is why this period is a very important period. Mind you, there are many countries which after the 7th month give rights to the baby. Although it's a legal individual in its own right. So that is recognized by many countries. They give legal rights to the baby after the 7th month. So it's no more the choice of the parents to say that I'll go and abort. No. It's got rights, it owns property. So if it dies, one share of the property will come to that baby apart from the other siblings who might have been there for that baby. So all these things are there when legal rights come. So you recognize that this is a very important period. Apart from the depression and the complications, it's a point of empowerment which you can give so much of energy and a boost of energy for that baby, so that that journey or that baby, both in the 8th and 9th month, which are the completion months of pregnancy, and the life beyond, from birth to the rest of the life which comes about, this, what you set at this point of time, is a very, very, very important thing which you could do for the baby. So हम करते क्या है? We address the mother. She is the Devi. She is the Lakshmi. She is the goddess. She is Uma. She is Parvati. She is all of that in that brilliance, who's carrying the universe, and the universe in terms of its compression into a human state as a baby, and my baby, our baby, fully decked. If you have observed the colors, typically it will be either red, yellow, green color for the mother, white for the father. It tends to be white for the father because the father comes into the process here. Now, which one should I use? Should I choose white or red or green? Well, these are okay for people who are there who flow with us. We give these guidances, but that's another time, another story. This will be dependent upon the energies of the baby who's there in the womb, dependent upon the energies of the mother. So a lot of these things will be there, which color to be chosen, because there's an energy even with color. So you can take it to a lot of finesse. Then you get to the level of certain specific things which are brought into process, like haldi, kumkum, sindoor, sandal paste, chandana. All of these come because they bring certain specific aspects of energy into that process. The frequencies, waves they generate are very, very deliberate. So haldi, kumkum are applied to the face, typically usually the cheeks, hands and feet of the lady, the Devi. Blessings are given to her and blessings are sought from her. It's an opportunity for everybody who's come there to seek blessings from that baby, apart from meeting that baby for the first time. It's a huge opportunity. That's why you take those things as prasada or as gifts to that baby. You're giving gifts to Bhagwan when you're going to meet that baby for the first time. And then look at the flowers. Jasmine, Mallige, Sampige. Do you know of Champaka? Sampige flowers. In South, you'll find a lot of them. White, yellow, gold. Again, gold is the preferred color. And usually some types of flowers are avoided. Kakada hoovu anta karitive Kannadadalli. I don't know the equivalent of that in English. But you will not find that to be used on these occasions. You will not even use a lotus. Although it's for knowledge, on this occasion you will not use a lotus. So there are certain things, certain types of fruits, decorations, leaves, what type of leaves, plants which are brought into the occasion. And especially some typical things which will come out. Coconut is used in abundance because it's Kalpa Vriksha. It's got all the goodness which it can bring. So even otherwise coconuts are used in auspicious occasions. Mango leaves are used in auspicious occasions. All of them are brought into fore. And last but not the least, abundance of rice. Rice, white rice, uncooked. Rice, in some context, I'll come to khichdi also. There's some component which comes in there. But white rice as a engagement process. So all of these are for taking of the mother. And each of the ladies who has come there also partakes in the process of seeking blessings. Seeking blessings. आशीर्वाद लेने का मौका है लोगों के लिए. They seek blessings from that baby, and the one who's carrying, she's the incarnate of Devi Uma, Devi Parvati, Garbha Rakshambika. She's sitting there and carrying that baby in a womb and invoking those blessings and giving her gifts, giving her everything which is pleasant and nice, so that I can also partake in the blessings. Next level. Towards the end comes the husband. He has a role. So what does he do? That process starts. So indeed, it involves hair and application of oil. So let's first talk about hair. When you come to understanding the context of certain aspects of the human configuration, there are some things which have a very deeply karmic imprint on them. Hair is one of them. Nails are some of them. Your teeth, the bone, teeth is also bone, but rest of the body is also made up of bones. But the bone which makes your teeth has got a different configuration. Now, each of these, in fact, for those of you who would like to appreciate it from the astrological perspective, the Adhipati of all of these, be it hair or nails or teeth, all of them is either Shani or some super energy like that. Shani as Karma Karaka comes into play. So you are using that structure which has got the karmic imprints to the maximum. So you're using that part of the human mechanism and using hair with a combination of certain types of oils. And invariably it will be either sandalwood oil Or, of course, nowadays more colloquially you find either badam oil or coconut oil, and the husband takes it in his hands delicately and applies it, standing in the front of the lady, the way you saw in that picture, comes and applies it to the lady's head and parts her hair as he takes it to the back, right to the back. It's a very loving gesture in its own right. It's got a lot of import. It's a beautiful one. Right from the top to the tip of the hair, he will do it. And very often, they'll do it with वो दुर्वा जिसको बोलते हैं ना, वो ऋषि मुनि हुआ करते थे जो यूज करते थे श्राप देने के लिए, that kind of a thing, the durva grass. So sometimes they'll use that and put that. And then, of course, depending upon culture, many things which you can do. Keep good in our hands, jaggery in our hands, or give green figs in our hands. Many of these things are done. Or badam for her to hold when this is being done. So all of these have certain specific energetic imports. So that upliftment as a joint exercise, upliftment, empowerment, movement, transgressing the limit, beyond the karmic limitations into the world of epigenetics. So it becomes a beautiful point for you to re-engineer the entire construct of the baby, making use of this opportunity. And then goes the invocation which happens at this time. It's a beautiful invocation in its own right. Asya Praja, this baby. Bhagavat Shri Pippaladena Uvachita Sampradaya Anusaranena, as per the traditional customary thing which has been brought into lineage through Pippalada, sage, Rishi, Saptame Mase Jivena Samyukto Bhavati. Ashtame Mase Sarvalakshana Sampurno Bhavati. Om Bhuvaha, Om Swaha, Om Mahaha, Om Bhurbhuvaswarom iti Shubham Swasti Mangalam Bhuyat. Who's doing this? The Pujari. Who's that? The father. He's invoking the Devi and the precious commodity, the universal energy she's carrying with her. And he also applies the Haldi Chandan, gives her gifts. So if any of you are going in for Godvarai, make sure your husband gives you the right gifts. Chota mota mat lijega. Thoda sa minimum gold level tak to jana hi chahiye, right? Okay. So and remember, jo bolte hai na ki Godvarai pehle bacche ke liye karte hai. Okay, that's also customary. But I'll take you to the knowledge behind this. If you're thinking in terms of it being something for the lady, you can do it once. Ek baar kar liya so that she can become a mother. But if you're talking in terms of a sanskara for the baby, for every baby you have to do it. It's not just for the first baby. Dusra teesra ne kya guna ki thi, right? So you have to really give it to them in its entirety. So that done, get good gifts, lot of gold from the husband. Make sure that you enjoy, be happy on that day. And then comes the culture of feeding khichdi. एक स्पेशल टाइप का खिचड़ी बनता है, and again, you know, the components which go into the types of pulses which go into it, ghee, and all of these chants जो मैंने mention किया, भूर्भुवः स्वरम तक मंगलम भूयात, till that point of time, that's a very significant invocation. उसको करके, then what happens? In the end, the husband takes a mixture of milk, ghee, and honey, puts that together and offers it to the tongue of the mother, which should reach the baby. So the mother just takes it, partakes it, puts it on her tongue, and she is the mechanism, or she is the conduit who's going to carry it to the baby. So that khichdi eating, looking at it, thinking of it, all of that is also very valid and very true. So this is a very intense process. So ये जो सीमंतोनयनम है, this is the concept for us is definitely much beyond baby showers. Concept is much beyond just the fanfare and the rituals and the religion and or whatever, even the social. All of them are important components, but it's not the whole. The whole thing involves a larger understanding. जब आप समझने लगते हैं, observation bends reality. Okay, I'll keep saying this, and you really want to understand this, please come for the 21st, for the 17th April onward starting sessions. So first and foremost, It's a welcome to the child from all the members of the family, because now the child is in a position to accept your welcome because it knows it's going to come with this body. So at that time, the introduction to the rest of the family members, to the neighbors, to the aunts, uncles, siblings, everybody becomes more meaningful. And the opportunity for the mother and the father to bond with the baby. That bonding is a very important term. For those of you who understand what depression is, prenatal, postnatal depression, which are huge problems today in the world. Postnatal depression, prenatal depression, these are aspects in which modern day science has worked significantly. So, how to tackle that? How to work at endearing yourself to the baby, the bonding, attachment which you need to have with that baby. So from prenatal, perinatal sciences through obstetrics, gynecology, medical sciences, social sciences, these are very, very important events. And as we said, beyond all of that, you go to the very source, the empowerment and the upliftment at the genetic level and the epigenetic level, point of inflection. ये संस्कार जो होते हैं ना, बड़ी कीमती मौके मिलते हैं आपको. These are, ये अवसर ऐसे प्रदान करते हैं आपको कि you can make many things happen. And that's how, if you want to do the best for your baby, this is a golden opportunity for you to engage with. So the reorientation, opportunity development, giving a progressive opening for the child. That is why the Mangalam, the Shubham, longevity, all of that comes both into the success for the baby and the family itself. Okay. So this is a perspective of Seemantonayanam, which I wanted to leave all of you with. तो एक चीज पक्का है, कुछ नहीं तो अपने माँ बाप से पूछ लीजिएगा, वो जो कहेंगे कम से कम उतना तो कर लीजिए. Just get to that level, at least if your father and mother don't know, at least ask your grandparents or some elder in the family. कुछ तो वो बताएंगे आपको क्या है, and at least do what is culturally relevant to you. Okay, so this is my message. Shivoham, Shivoham. Devi Ma bless you all, each of you mothers and the divine energies each one of you are carrying. My pranams to all of you.